Hello, Eddie Trunk. If you are watching this, I just want to let you know this is a direct response to some things you have been talking about on, that metal show. The first thing is, something you've been talking about for the longest time, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and how they've been, like, snubbing all these great artists and, they're shaming their Rock and Roll Hall of Shame and disgrace and all this other stuff. And just my thought on that is, we really don't need the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We don't need to depend on them to say, hey, these bands are, we're have been influential on music. They are great, that kind of thing. We don't need them to archive it like that. Because if they were an actual archive of music history, then we really wouldn't. They wouldn't be doing this on a year by year basis, wouldn't they? And there's a whole bunch of categories and all that stuff too. But it's like, I mean, there's if it were archival, then they'd be working on doing getting every single band up to this point. So, yeah, it's really an exclusive club of who they think is great from a self-appointed board. Really, that's what it is. It's what these guys think, and secondly, I feel like it's the fans' job to carry on a band's legacy because we this music has influenced us, has touched us, has helped us, has healed us, that kind of thing. It's our job to keep up the legacy of really great music. Pass it on to generations to come and say, hey, look, grandchildren, grandnieces, and nephews, whatever. These bands have influenced my culture and they have helped me. I think you would like them, that kind of thing. It's our job to do it, and I think you have been doing a really great job of that yourself, Eddie Trunk, where so many you have been playing this music, really great metal, on your show and talking about it on that metal show and on your radio show. And so many people have told you, you've said it yourself, that they've gotten into bands like UFO because of you, because you're so passionate, you talk so passionately about these bands. And I myself have been so educated just by watching that metal show on different bands throughout history. So and music journalism is something I want to do from watching, just because I was watching that metal show and thinking, hey, that's something I want to do. So you've been doing a really great job, I feel, Mr. Trunk, of passing down legacy and influencing so many metal fans and helping just perpetuate that passion. So I think you yourself have been doing exactly what you feel the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame should have been doing. So I feel like it's our job, the fans, and as a side note, the Grammys, which you talk about too, was them being clueless and stuff. I feel like we don't need award shows either, because if it was just a celebration of music, that I can understand, and I can also understand if awards were distributed based off of votes, which is something that the Golden Gods does, and they work to be a celebration of music, which is all well and good. But as far as award shows go, I feel like the mentality that comes out of them is, you're only as good as how many awards you get. That's your worth. That's not your worth. That's what the passion of your fans is. What's worth it? That's your success. And some of it might be monetary if that's important to you as a musician, but I award shows, just no. I my whole hang up with award shows too also is like these like a whole bunch of people after the show is over or even during the show get so way more upset than they should over somebody winning an award over their favorite artist or band, and it's just like, You like this band so much. It's nothing to worry about, you know. So long as you're a fan that likes whoever, it doesn't really it shouldn't matter how many awards this band gets, you know. And it might be nice to have a little trophy that says, you know, some self-appointed board said you are good enough to win this. Woo. I mean, just yeah. And I know the Grammys are clueless. I can think of the one time that Nine Inch Nails won Best Metal, and Trent Reznor took the award and said, "I, I don't deserve this because this is not even a category I'm in. You know, Dave Mustaine's right there, and he should be the one holding this award." So, but I know that they're clueless, but at the same time, do we really need an award show or the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame to say, "Hey, you're good enough to win this," or "You're good enough to be in our exclusive little club"? No. So, and another thing you've been talking about more recently, I feel like on that metal show, is bands taking like playing to tracks or something, or having effects, or having people backstage play or something, and they're not on stage, which I it like it, I know you've argued that it's if they need another guitarist then or something, then have them on stage like Aerosmith does that. That's understandable, but when you're in the position of Aerosmith that can afford to have a, excuse me, when you're in the position of Aerosmith that can afford to have extra people on stage because they're Aerosmith, they can afford to do this. They have the money to be able to pay for it. That's the thing. It costs money for bands to have extra people play on stage because that's more sound equipment that has to be taken care of. That's another mouth to feed. That's labor, that kind of thing. So, I mean, if you're not as a big band like Aerosmith, then it's like, what do you do? It's, I would be okay with the band playing to a backing track, so long as most of the sound that is being played is coming from their instruments, coming from their vocals or something, and I think that's another thing too, is that bands want to be able to cater to their audience, but they don't have, they might have limitations, like they're not be able to play that song fully live because they can't reach a certain uh, pitch on stage or something. So I don't know. And I feel like another thing with that too is that it's not such a horrible practice. I mean, there's times where it's obviously painful that somebody's not playing a guitar on stage. I know. It's painful for me to watch, but I'm like, I live with it. But I feel like it's not such a horrible practice, when considering there's so many more awful things that people in music are and have been doing, nowadays. So I feel like we should be holding people more accountable for horrible crimes, such as for rape, or for certain things like having sexist or racist mindsets. And it's just, we need to hold these people accountable for that. Whereas I'm fine if somebody doesn't play a guitar for a whole song on stage, rather than see, I would rather pay to see somebody fake play a guitar for 5 minutes than pay to see somebody who I know has been convicted of sexual assault, because my money would be going to a place where at the end of the day I know that person would rather me as a consumer be alive. You feel me? So there's that. I mean, at the end of the day, you can hold whatever thoughts you can hold, Eddie Drunk, but this is just my 2 cents on the whole thing. So thanks for listening if you did, and stay brutal, Eddie Drunk.